5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you Set 4, CJ vs. KD Proleague Playoffs Day 1. We have in this game Hoejja versus Horang2 or Horang2. I am going to call him Horang2, who is the red Protoss at the 4 o'clock position, whereas Hoejja, licking his lips there a little bit, perhaps they are a tad chapped here. He is the Zerg player at the 12 o'clock position, the white Zerg. This is on Neo Aztec 3-player map. This is a good map for Zerg players who want to rush. Considering the short distances, perhaps we will see some sort of 3 hatchery Hydra bust here coming out from Hoejja. Let's see what Horang2. Frankly, I do not remember too much about this player, Horang2. Surely he's practiced on this map, Neo Aztec, all the time. As CJ has yet to bring out Hydra, their star player. TKO China join. I don't get it. KTCJ. Oh, that's, well, I would say that's kind of clever, but I don't quite get it. I don't know. It's above my understanding. At any rate, here we see Hoejja focusing hard here. Uncharacteristic of him, I have to say. I am not the biggest, well, I have to say I am a Hoejja anti-fan at times, despite my enthusiasm for KT overall. Hoejja blocking the ramp with a drone. Could he actually be showing signs of using his muscles up there, not just the muscles in his arms, but the ones, you know, in his brain? And that is quite harsh, I'd say. And Hoejja actually is, you know, he's not a great Zerg player, but he's certainly decent, and he can perform well. He is very good against Protoss, from what I remember, over 60%. And we have another sign here. Can't tell what that means. It says KT something. Anyway, now another hatchery going down here. Rather, the second hatchery going down for Hoejja at that 2 o'clock position. And Hoejja has scouting the correct direction. Of course, he is going to go for 3 hatch before pool, but he's sort of faking a potential rush. 2 probes being brought out. I mean, this is unusual for a Protoss player. That drone might actually die. Another drone being brought out here to try to fight this off is going to see that there is nothing here. 2 probes coming out to harass. This is highly atypical. Horang2 sacrificing a good amount of his economy. He is going to see he's maybe going to be able to kill a drone or 2 here. That would be something. He's actually got to kill something if he brings 2 probes out here. He just really wants to know where there was some sort of rush. But now he knows it's 3 hatch before pool. Basically the all-out economic cheese coming out for Horang2. They're actually kind of clever, I have to say. I mean, for me, dissing himself. You know, there's a famous line, of course. Wow, I'm sure viewers will know who said this, but still using all the muscles except the one that matters. Well, Horang2 here is not using all the muscles, whereas Hoejja is actually using all the muscles, including the one that matters the most, I have to say. And Horang2 sacrificing so much of his economy early on. He's going to be able to kill a drone. That is, he actually has to sort of get that done, because he brought 2 probes out to harass. I don't think Hoejja's going to be bothered by it too much. The crowd did go crazy for it, but I don't think the loss is nearly as devastating as it would be otherwise, considering Horang2 has sacrificed a lot to do that, and of course his very heavy economic build coming out. Zerglings will be out to chase away that probe. Now it looks like. And this game, I would have to give Horang2 a pretty clear advantage, putting down a Hydra list. And 3 hatch before pool into Hydra. He needs to stop this scout! Oh, Hoejja, how could you use all the muscles except the one that matters? Unless Horang2 decides not to scout it! Horang2! Oh, what is wrong with him? Man, I mean, Horang2, that was his opportunity. He went into the base, he sees the Hydra list in. It'd be over. He put down a lot of defense at the front. He's got to suspect that, though. I think Horang2, if he has any sort of intuition as a pro gamer, he got to suspect that this is going to be a Hydra bust. He doesn't see a lair. He doesn't see any other tech. He doesn't see more Zerglings being built. He doesn't see that many drones. He's got to know that a Hydra-less attack is coming his way. He's got 2 Zealots out there. Maybe he's going to send them to harass at that 2 o'clock base and will conveniently scout out that particular Hydralisk then there. Zerglings moving into intercept position by Hoejja. That probe still alive. Hydralisk coming out. So it does look like Horang2 is going to know exactly what's coming his way. There's some forces here to try to intercept Zerglings being micro. There are 2 Hydralisks there along with 3 Zerglings. Should be able to ward off this little attack without too much of an issue. 3 Hydralisks here, and now the Zealots are going to die without really inflicting too much damage. Horang2 would be wise to put up 5 more cannons. He's going to double down on gateways. I'm actually not sure he has the time to spare here. He's put down another cannon, and this is what I mean. I think this is going to be GG to Hoejja. He's just going to be able to bust down through the front here and win before units from the gateway can make a difference here. I feel that Horang2 or Horang2 would be so much better off putting down these cannons first and then getting the gateways. It looks like perhaps I might be wrong about that. Hoejja is busting down the front there with his Hydralisk. He is opting not to try to finish off the cannons. I guess he doesn't know that, and now the cannons have finished. I'm not sure whether Hoejja is going to be able to bust through at this point, and that Hydralisk almost dying to the cannon fire. Now the forge is getting worked over, but it doesn't matter so much. There will be units pumping out of all 3 gateways soon enough. Temple Archives going down. Where are Hoejja's additional forces? This is truly somewhat baffling play coming from Hoejja. Now he's focusing heavily on economy during that time, I guess. He's really not committed one way or the other. If he committed to an all-out attack, he would have won the game at this point, but he did not. He's sort of gone for the half measure. Not going to be successful here at this time, and now I fear he is going to get warded off. Microing quite well against these Zealots, but going to be forced to withdraw, and now Hoejja putting down another base. I really don't know what his plan is at this point. He also didn't finish off the forge. Always nice to do that. Delays the Protoss from upgrading. Always nice. And now why are the cannons picking off that pylon? I guess it blocks the exit for Dragoons or something like that. That's probably why. Now these Zealots with speed are out running into a good number of Hydras on the field here. There is a Corsair that is unmolested here, going to be able to pick away at some site overlords. So nice little maneuver here by Horang2. Hoejja, now he's massed up a good-sized army, but his opportunity attack has, well, long since passed him by, unless he masses up even more units. Maybe that's his plan here. There are a few Zealots trying to harass at the front here, and these Zealots going to fight on the ramp. Very nice work. This is exactly what Horang2 should do here. Killing quite a few Hydralisks, losing half his Zealots or so, but I don't think it's going to bother him too much. And now that forge perhaps going to get picked off. 3 more gateways going down. So Horang2 really going to focus on unit production now. The forge getting picked off. So maybe that was actually clever by Hoejja. He wanted some upgrades to take place on that forge. Then he darts in, picks off the forge to delay +1 ground attack upgrade. This could be, you know, a very high level of StarCraft as opposed to a mistake there. And is that Stork? I might have just seen Stork there in the audience. I could be mistaken about that. They didn't show him for long enough, I feel. Now, 8 gateways coming out by Horang2. So he is going to go for a serious ground army here. And once he gets that out, Hoejja is going to fight for his life here in order to hold back the coming Protoss onslaught. He's got a map control for now. He's also got a good-sized Hydralisk force. He is going to do his best to whittle away at this army while he has the opportunity. We have a shuttle out here. Perhaps a storm drop is incoming. Complete air... Well, this isn't air superiority or anything like that, but there's no counter to that. So you can go Corsair. Corsair going to scout to its heart's content. And now we have some Hydralisks coming out. We have a Dark Templar being dropped here at the 3 o'clock base. Going to pick off 1 drone, it looks like. Hoejja acting very quickly there, moving his drones out. Not going to suffer too many losses. The Dark Templar is going to be warded off here. Nevertheless, stopping mining there. always good thing to do. And now both players more or less even. Now, of course, they're getting picked off there, but again, I don't. Dark Archon coming out. Whoa, Dark Archon. You rarely ever see that unit. So we have. Was that? No. I'm just seeing Stork in the audience because I have Stork on the mind there. But the guy on the left, obviously, the guy on the right was not Stork. I didn't get a very good look at him. And now we have a great storm drop, killing all sorts of drones. A very nice maneuver here. Shuttle going to escape without much of an issue. It is somewhat damaged, and the Scourge could come in and finish it off. Hopefully there are no more High Templar in there. Ooh, the Scourge picking off the Shuttle. Hopefully for Horang2 there was not another High Templar in there. Nevertheless, it was a good little storm drop. Did quite a bit of damage. And now Horang2 seems to be quite content massing up forces. Dark Archon is very effective against Meatless. 1 Maelstrom plus 1 Storm. That's it for the Meatless, and because Meatless are clumped, they are particularly vulnerable to Dark Archon. I mean, that is sort of the strategy people always thought about how you should use against Meatless here. Dark Archon perhaps it does not have energy. And now Maelstrom, great Maelstrom, I have to say, but he needs a Storm to finish this off. Great start, brilliant maneuver. That is exactly why great maneuver, and these Meatless completely useless now. That is why Horang2 sacrificed his probes and not transfer them out. Just to bait that attack, I think, is certainly well worth it. Didn't quite manage to finish off all the Meatless, but I mean, this removes any sort of threat to his High Templar. And now, Horang2 has an opportunity here to attack. He's going to have Storm. He may potentially have a second Maelstrom ready by the time the battle is engaged. He can Maelstrom Meatless if they dare to try to come in for another pass, or he can Maelstrom some Hydralisk, always helpful to do what he can at the front here. And these Meatless, you can see, that must have been one of the weaker ones that was engaged. Horang2 sending out some more Meatless. He really wants to pick off the Dark Archon, perhaps, or maybe surely he wants to pick off the High Templar first. Now he's going to be able to pick off one of these High Templar. But a great storm there, just as it was dying. All the Meatless going down. Massive attack here at the front. Where are the units here for? Where are the units? Great storm again, all over those lurkers, killing so many units. Dark Archon charging the front does not have the power of the normal Archon to just blast those Hydralisks into a little piles of goo and blood. Did the Dark Archon go down to focus fire by the Hydralisk? Possibly. No, the Dark Archon is still alive. It may have enough energy for Maelstrom soon enough. This attack is almost getting beaten back here, but Zealots are coming in to reinforce, and these Dragoons probably be wise to pull back to the Zealots there. There is another High Templar still alive getting picked off here, and now those Zerglings going to work on the Dark Archon, finishing it off, but the Dark Archon did its job. There are a lot of Zealots running rampant here. And this battle is coming down to the wire here. Horang2 almost able to achieve victory here, but Hoejja, just with so many units, he might be able to fend this off. His Zerglings only have +1. No! It looks like so many more units of Horang2 pouring in to the base at the 2 o'clock, and there's nothing to defend there now. A few Zerglings and 2 Sunken, that's it. The odd Hydra or 2, this is not going to be enough, and there's no way that Hoejja can afford the loss of this base. He's got a good amount of his tech there, 3 of his hatcheries, and if he loses this will surely be GG. He is morphing in desperation all sorts of units at that position. He's losing all his drones there. He's sending in what units he can piecemeal to try to finish this off, but it's not going to work. Horang2. There are so many more Zealots coming out to reinforce those 8 gateways, really working out for him. That girl, surely a massive CJ fan, clearly very happy for Horang2 and for CJ Entus here. And CJ is going to even this series up 2-2, I have to say. But Hoejja's fighting hard. I think now Horang2 going in for a finishing blow here. If he can finish out that natural, this will be GG. Some defenses are desperately being morphed, but so many Protoss units, too many Zealots. The Zealots probably be wise to rip down that hatchery or the defending evolution chamber. There is a lurker there. Perhaps if the observer gets sniped. No, the lurker goes down. The observer is still alive. Desperate fighting here by Hoejja. He really does not want to lose this game, but just too many Protoss units barreling down on his base, and this will be GG. I fear he's lost too much of his economy, a good amount of his production, and the Zealots just refuse to stop coming out of the gateways. Zealots charging forward with wild, reckless abandon, almost completely wild. Bloodthirsty here for revenge after the destruction of their homeworld by these Zerg invaders, and now they are taking their revenge here in this particular game, killing Zerg units as they come out of the hatchery. The hatchery and the evolution chamber at the front are defeated now. This is just a matter of time before Hoejja GG's. I have to applaud him for fighting so hard in this game, but it is pretty much hopeless at this point. He'd probably be wise to GG sooner rather than later. Maybe after these Zerglings are finished. Hoejja really wants to win this game, but it's just not going to be possible now. He's going to lose his Queen's Nest. He's already lost his Natural. He's going to lose his Spire here. He's down to building just Zerglings. He's using what forces he has to try to intercept their reinforcements, and going to be able to have a bit of success there. He's got a Hive. Nidus Canal, 3 Sunkens here at the main, and that that spawning pool, should it go down, that means Hoejja will be unable to build units, I believe. He might still have his, a Hydralisk and big battle here, but it looks like these Zealots are going to kill all the Zerglings, and no! Hoejja, so many High Templar coming out, probably should morph them into Archons against these Zerglings, and somehow Hoejja has fended off this attack. But at what price? 3 Archons coming out. And Horang2 almost out of resources. He's down to building just a High Templar, but that is going to be enough to finish this game off, I feel. Half a dozen Archons coming down through the front. Well, actually, I don't know. Horang2 is mining off very little, but Hoejja, even though he's lost so much of his units, so many of his bases, he's got 2 more mining bases. If Hoejja can, win this game, this will be muscle over brawn. This will be an incredible comeback, I have to say. 7 Archons, so this is the force with which is so many more High Templar coming out. I mean, during all that time, Horang2 was building just Zealots, not spinning his gas. Archons have a weakness, though, against sunken colonies and against mass Hydralisks, but I do not believe Hoejja is in a position to mass Hydralisk. He may yet be able to build a good number of Sunkens to defend. I do not know what these Archons are going to try to do. They're going to try to finish off this base here first. There are a good number of Zealots there in conjunction, too. So they're going to try to finish off this base, which is probably a wise move. Kill the Hydralisk then. And then I will probably go for the main and finish off the tech there. That will leave Horang2 with 2 bases, which is really just not going to be enough, I feel. These Zerglings useless against that little force of Archons. So many more High Templar coming out. There are 10 Archons on the field here. They can be stopped by a good sunken defense, but I do not see any chance of Hoejja pushing out just yet. He does have Nidus Canaling his main. He can't reinforce it, and potentially, if he can snipe observers, he might be able to hold out with lurkers for a time. At this point, I am a bit curious as to what Horang2 wants to do. He needs to get something done with these Archons sooner rather than later. He's got another base up, which is something. Storm Drop coming in here, not really doing that much damage to the economy. Kills a few units there, those Zerglings, it looks like. No Spire to get any sort of Scourge to finish that shuttle off with. So, really, Hoejja fighting on with skeleton forces at this point, and skeleton tech. Really, he's just down to Zerglings at this point. Whereas there are quite a few more Zealots and Archons out here for Horang2. He's got some Lurkers and Lings. That's pretty much it for Hoejja. He has Overlord here at the front to spot for him. He can pick off the Observer. He might be able to come back in this game, except he doesn't actually have anything he can pick Observers off with. He doesn't have Scourge, he doesn't have Hydralisk. So, and now this Protoss army just going to come in and mop up these Zerg forces. No problem. this is surely GG. Storm, there's still Storm out. Somehow getting fended off here. These Archons do not want to press their luck. Storm drop here. This time, much better Storm drop, killing good number of drones at that base at the 3 o'clock. Hoejja fighting with tooth and nail at this point. But just don't see how he's going to win. Wait, during this time, Hoejja, did he actually manage to pick off the expansion at the 7 o'clock? If he actually managed to do that while I was looking, that was very impressive maneuver. I can't tell, though, whether that base is still mining or not. If he did pick it off, he has a chance in this game. But even so, the Protoss field army is substantial. I think it'll have no problem barreling away into the main if necessary. Rebuilt the Spire, apparently. A nice Storm drop. Again, before the shuttles finished off, unloading those 2 High Templar for another Storm there, killing so many units. Nice Scourging of the Observer. Hoejja going to hold off this assault force yet again on account of the lack of observers at the front here. Natural base still has a lot of minerals, and the Filer is out. This game is very tense at this point. I mean, I thought Hoejja was finished for sure, and now Hoejja sniping another observer. He is just basically, this is, if there were a single observer at the front, this would be over, because this Archon, Zealot, Templar force would have no problem storming its way through the paper-thin defenses that Hoejja has, mostly in the form of lurkers. But without the observer, does not. I still think that, well, maybe it's not so wise for Horang2 to sacrifice his army. This is pretty much all he has left. He's going to use Storm to try to bust his way through the front. It's also a pretty good choice. Going to finish off one of the lurkers there. Second lurker going down. He's got plenty of Templar for Storm. That's not a problem. Energy for Storm. And now Horang2 going to come in and snipe this shuttle potentially, but not before at least one of the High Templar gets unloaded. Plague over some of those Zealots, but against so many Archons, Plague just is not going to be as effective as it otherwise could be. I think Hoejja also is afraid of putting Swarm down unnecessarily so, because sunken colonies don't work against Swarm. He was under Swarm. Another observer sniped there, so Horang2 really just sitting outside the front here. He knows he has enough units to break through. Another observer getting sniped there. There's one last observer left. I don't understand why pros don't upgrade speed, if only to get the observers to front a bit faster, and it helps them dodge Scourge, you know. I think, and now, okay, there's speed, there's observer speed, just as I was saying that. I think that, yeah, observer speed is finished, so very important upgrade, I feel, in general, in PvZ, at least if it goes fairly long. And some more Storms doing his best to pick off these units at the front. And Hoejja is expanding yet again. This game could yet go on for some time. Great Storms at the front, I have to say. Horang2 has the absolute military advantage. He's just got too many Archons to be stopped here. But Hoejja, with a skeleton force, really, that the Filer, the threat of the Filer and a few lurkers able to hold off overwhelming Protoss force. And now, perhaps Horang2 is tired of trying to assault that natural position. Maybe he's going to go hunt for an easier target, one where there are not so many lurkers. But from Nidus Canal, those forces can be transferred over quite readily, as long as Hoejja has some scouting units in the middle to see what that army is doing, where it is going toward. And now we see a very impressive Protoss army getting assembled here. In addition to the Archons, now Dragoons and Zealots will be joining them. And once the Protoss ball is formed, Observer or no, and another Dark Archon, Horang2 using it to great effect earlier. At this point, he's probably going to use it to feed back the Filer. Ooh, nice little drop there by 2 lurkers stopping mining at that 7 o'clock base. I wonder whether there's a base at the 6 o'clock and base game put by Horang2 at that inside position. Horang2 still has clearly the dominant ground army. Horang2 not going to be in danger of losing any sort of field battle in the middle. Hoejja doing what he can with what few units he has to great effect. I mean, I'm not sure another pro gamer could do better considering the position that Hoejja is actually in right now. He's got a very low chance of winning. He does need to eventually be able to defeat this army. Right now, he's sticking to guerrilla tactics, which I think is wise. He needs to protect that base, though. He doesn't appear to have much to defend here. Oh, this might be the golden opportunity for Horang2 to win the game if he can break through here. He's got so many Archons coming in, and it looks like Hoejja is going to be forced to sacrifice this base, move what units he can through the Nidus for now. But losing that base might not be as critical a blow as it appears. It was mostly mined out at that point anyway. And interesting to note, of course, that Horang2 moved his entire army over there to deal with that. He didn't need to do that. Even a few units would have been successful. But it looks like this may be an opportunity for Hoejja to move some units into the field and potentially set himself up for some sort of attack. If he can swarm on that ramp at the 7 o'clock and break through there, that might be what he needs. Or maybe if he can attack at the natural here with swarm, that could also work very well. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything. There is something at 6 o'clock. Never mind. It is almost mined out, so that base has been there practically forever. Never mind about that. Ooh, nice little feedback on that defiler. Very devastating, of course. So no more defiler support here for Horang2. I mean, for Hoejja. That's not too good. Hoejja is definitely in danger here. He managing to retreat his forces back to his natural. Those lurkers and links are storm bait right now. If there are some storms that can be cast over these units, it will be GG. But it does not look like that is the case here. I mean, Hoejja's chance of winning this game really are, probably somewhere around 1% at this point. The Protoss Ball is just too significant, and his forces are vulnerable to a big storm. At this point, Hoejja cannot afford really to lose any more units without causing significant damage in return, whereas Horang2 can afford to lose a substantial portion of his army. As long as he destroys all of Hoejja's units and cuts his offensive capacity, it will be GG. This base here at the 11 o'clock is not going to get up here. I feel the Nidus is not finished. If the Nidus were finished and some defenses were moved in place, it might be okay. But no, drop coming in by Horang2 at the main. There are 4 High Templar there. And if they can storm, looks like they may not actually have the energy for storm, but there's an Archon and some Zealots there. Going to be able to clean up this drop, so that's not going to amount to too much. And any attempts to expand are promptly shut down here by Horang2. I just don't see, again, what Hoejja can do against what is surely more than a dozen Archons and a Dark Archon, not to mention Zealots and Dragoon army on the field. I think at this point, there's no reason for Horang2 to, put it off for any longer. Maybe get another base to be safe, and then just launch the attack and finish this game. It's actually getting kind of silly at this point. Horang2 is going to be forced to stop mining there, and there's a drop in his main again. Hoejja executing what guerrilla tactics that he can very well. It's just the odds are insurmountable at this point, unless he can somehow get himself another base and hold the other base. Now, he's going to isolate some more units at the front here and pick them off. This is classic guerrilla strategy. You attack where the opponent is not expecting, pick some units off here and there. Dropping the main, dropping the mining base, isolate a small portion of your opponent's armies and defeat it. But Horang2 surely wants to force a decisive engagement now. Big storm at the front here, killing all sorts of units. Lurkers and Lings going down. Now massive battle coming in here. Horang2 still does not want to engage. He just wants to do his own little sniping action there. Winning the war of attrition, if you would. Trying to do his best to kill what units he can without sacrificing the strength of his army much. I just don't think that's necessary. He should probably close the game out now, because it's rather tedious to watch at this point. He has an overwhelming advantage, whereas Hoejja is forced to expand at almost depleted base there at the 3 o'clock. I mean, that is how desperate he is. CJ operational battle cruiser. CJ's most famous players have always been Zerg, you know, if you think about it. Savior, Effort, Hydra, and more Storms here at the front. That Archon going to get picked off, and another High Templar getting killed here by just a few Zerglings. Normally these would be nice little tactical victories, but I don't think Hoejja can actually afford the loss of these Zerglings against those High Templar. That's the sad state of affairs that he's in. He's actually managed to rebuild a good number of Zerglings, Lurkers, and Defilers. If by some miracle he could win a battle, he could yet win the game, but you know, I still think is that 5% chance. Horang2 has such a dominant position here. He's waiting for upgrades. He's got another base up now to be safe, and once he starts mining from that base, I think he will feel free to commit his army to a direct frontal assault. Normally, I am not the proponent of direct frontal attacks, but when you have an absolute advantage like this, direct frontal attacks looking pretty good. These Defilers laying down swarms, going to defend again for now. This really is being dragged out quite unnecessarily so, I have to say. Even under Swarm, Archons can do damage, and there are still Zots in the Protoss army. I don't know why he doesn't just force his way through the front and finish this off, or at least, you know, attack a different position. That base there at the 2 o'clock is looking pretty tempting. A few defenses in position. It's where he attacked originally to great effect. And now some Zerglings trying to come into the base here at the middle. Expanding the middle at this point is a good choice, of course, considering Hoejja has just a few Zerglings as map presence, whereas Horang2 has near complete map control with the units that he has on the field. He is quite fond of moving all his units to deal with a few Zerglings. I mean, studying this psychology, there may yet be opportunities here for some sort of a clever attack. You know, you feint an attack somewhere else, and then you sending a crack force of cracklings, and the Defilers to try to snipe one of these nexuses when the Protoss army is away. And now perhaps a Plague will be coming out here. That Defiler is just sitting out here at the front. Feedback coming out. Ooh, Defiler getting killed instantly there. Nothing it can do to defend itself against feedback, except not have energy, in which case the Defiler is completely useless. And now we have really Hoejja just trying to get what he can get done what he can with the few units he has on the field. He's trying to snipe that Dark Archon, it looks like. Not going to be successful. He's got another drone there, going to sneak a hatchery. That is how desperate he is for income. He's going to sneak a hatchery at the 8 o'clock base that's off-centered and perhaps try to mine what he can. Once the hatchery is up, he's probably going to put down Nidus, move some units in to defend, possibly, and then start mining. There are... it looks like it might actually work out quite well if another Nexus gets put down there. He will actually have a backdoor avenue to attack the new base that Horang2 is setting up. But both players... I mean, I know why Hoejja can't engage. He actually doesn't have the forces to do it, and he will lose should he do so. So I understand Hoejja's approach to these indirect battles, these little sniping guerrilla actions here, that he's been mostly successful with. But Horang2 should have finished this minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, I feel. I don't know why he insists on dragging this game out for so long. I mean, Hoejja, if his idea was to sow disinformation and, you know, convince Horang2 that he has a bigger army than he does, which surely is what he wants to do, he has succeeded beyond his wildest dreams, because this Protoss fist here that can easily smash its way through the Zerg defenses is content to sit in the middle and do nothing. Except buy time for the Protoss, not even buy time, wait until the Protoss mass up enough resources so that he can rebuild his army. It's the only possible explanation at this point. So, if Hoejja's goal were to deceive Horang2, this has been an incredibly successful operation. and surely that is his goal. If Horang2's goal is to win the game and not be deceived, then he has failed miserably. Yeah, this is what the maneuver I thought he would be using. Nice little backdoor attack here coming out. Going to be able to pick off this Nexus and these cannons. Probably should put down a swarm sooner rather than later. This will be a good opportunity for him to potentially get 2 more bases. Protoss is moving out all sorts of forces try to deal with this, and they should have no problem dealing with this. Why has that Defiler not put down a second swarm? Another swarm going down. Ooh, a lot of units getting sent through here. This is actually working out very well for Hoejja. He's actually picked up a lot of Archons, but there are just so many more units coming in. Great Storm all over these lurkers that are moving out the front. So many lurkers dying. If Hoejja had kept the lurkers below the ramp, who knows how this battle may have turned out. He may have actually won. Whoa! Hoejja has more forces than I gave him credit for. The Swarmling assault here working out stupendously well. He's actually going to be able to defeat the Protoss army in the field despite the losses he suffered at the hands of the storm. And with this victory, he may yet be able to win the game. That feedback not killing the final. The final expended all its energy. The fighter just barely surviving the feedback. Incredible maneuver by Hoejja. Hoejja pulling out the stops here, showing us why he is a great player. He is nearly mine. Well, he's not nearly mine. He's completely mine now. This maneuver has got to rank in the annals of StarCraft strategy as one of the finest examples of how you should play ever. I mean, in one single maneuver, not only has he attacked where the opponent wasn't expecting, he set himself up to take a base, denied bases to his opponents, picking off that Dark Archon. Now he's got the energy for another swarm potentially, but he's got a second wave of units coming, just barely what he needs to potentially hold this off. He needs to somehow survive this assault. A swarm at the front against these Archons is what he needs. Even if he loses, this is still one of the great maneuvers in the annals of StarCraft history. Looks like Hoejja perhaps just will not have enough units to get this done, because in one single blow, he's finished off the Protoss army. If he didn't move those lurkers up the ramp, he would have won. Those lurkers are exactly what he needs to hold us off at this point. Too many Protoss units. Horang2 really more of the fist approach, the brute force approach than any sort of elegance this entire game. He's going to win through brute strength here. But I have to give Hoejja all sorts of credit, even though he lost this game. GG coming from Hoejja. That maneuver was brilliant. He deserves all credit for it. Horang2's victory, unimpressive at best. I mean, I guess ultimately it was the correct decision to wait and wait and wait until he could build up resources, to rebuild his army. But I feel if he attacked earlier before, before Hoejja mined out his bases, it would have achieved more or less the same effect, because Hoejja wouldn't have units for this second defense here. Anyway, going on to the next game.